Hey there, here's something that should concern you. FEMA just updated their emergency preparedness guidelines, and 73% of American households still don't have even 3 days of supplies ready. Look, I'm not here to fearmonger, but after what we've seen with hurricanes, wildfires, and supply chain hiccups over the past few years, being unprepared is a choice you'll regret. What I'm about to share are 7 items you should grab at Costco every single time you shop. Not just for emergencies, but because they'll save your wallet and your sanity when things go sideways. These aren't your typical doomsday prepper items. These are smart, practical buys that work for everyday life and emergencies. And Costco makes it ridiculously easy because of their bulk pricing and quality. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and my family hasn't panicked once during a storm warning or power outage. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to share could literally be the difference between stress and peace of mind next time disaster strikes. Let's dive in. Item 1. Kirkland batteries. First up, and this might sound boring, but trust me on this. Batteries. Specifically, the Kirkland Signature AA and AAA multi-packs at Costco. Here's something most people don't realize. During the Texas freeze in 2021, my friend Amanda told me batteries were selling for $15 per 4-pack on Facebook Marketplace. $15 for batteries. People were desperate because flashlights, radios, and even their kids' toys all went dead during the blackout. Costco sells a 48-pack of Kirkland AA batteries for around $7. Do the math. That's about 35 cents per battery. Compare that to your local grocery store where you're paying $1.50 or more per battery. It's not even close. But here's where it gets interesting. According to Consumer Reports' latest testing from February 2025, Kirkland batteries actually outperform name brands in longevity tests. They're made by Duracell, so you're getting the same quality at a fraction of the price. I personally keep about 80 batteries on hand at all times. Sounds excessive, right? Until you realize how fast they disappear. Your TV remote, wall clock, smoke detectors, flashlights, camping gear, kids' toys. When the power goes out, you'll burn through a dozen batteries in the first 48 hours alone. Pro tip most people miss. Write the purchase date on the package with a Sharpie. Alkaline batteries last about 10 years in storage, but you want to rotate your stock. Use the oldest ones first for everyday items and keep the fresh ones for emergencies. Last month, I checked my local Costco, and they actually had purchase limits posted on batteries. 2 packs per member. That's a sign, folks. When retailers start limiting quantities, it means demand is already outpacing supply. Don't wait until the storm warning hits. Grab batteries every time you're at Costco. Your future self will thank you when everyone else is fighting over the last pack at CVS. Item 2. Canned protein. Chicken, tuna, salmon. Let's talk about protein. This is where most people completely mess up their emergency prep. During the 2020 pandemic shortages, my neighbor Steve waited just 3 days too long to stock up. The meat department at our local grocery store looked like a crime scene. Empty. He ended up feeding his family peanut butter sandwiches for 2 weeks straight, because that's all he could find. Don't be Steve. Here's what the experts won't tell you. Canned chicken is nutritionally superior to tuna for emergency situations. I'm serious. At Costco, the Kirkland canned chicken breast is about $3.29 per can, and you're getting 12.5 ounces of pure protein. That's roughly 35 grams of protein per can. Compare that to tuna, which gives you about 20 grams in a smaller can for nearly the same price. Plus, canned chicken tastes better cold if you lose power. I've tested this myself during a camping trip last summer, and honestly, it's not bad straight from the can with a little salt and pepper. But here's the real game changer that most people overlook. Costco sells these massive multi-packs. I'm talking 6 packs of canned chicken for around $19. That breaks down to just over $3 per can, and each can feeds 2 people easily. And let's not forget about their canned salmon. The Kirkland Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon is loaded with omega-3s and has a 5-year shelf life. My wife actually prefers it over fresh salmon for making salmon patties. At $2.50 per can during sales, it's legitimately cheaper than buying fresh fish, even when there's no emergency. A nutritionist I follow on Twitter mentioned something fascinating last week. During prolonged stress, your body actually needs 20-25% more protein just to maintain normal functions. Think about that. When you're stressed about a power outage or evacuation, your body is burning through protein faster than normal. Storage tip. Keep canned protein in a cool, dark place, not your garage where temperatures swing wildly. Under your bed, in a closet, or in a basement works great, and rotate your stock. Every time you buy new cans, move the old ones to the front and use those first. I keep a 3-month supply of canned protein at all times. My family of 4 goes through about 24 cans per month if we had to rely on it exclusively. At Costco prices, that's less than $80 for total protein security. Worth every penny. Item 3. Rice and pasta in bulk. Alright, let's talk about the foundation of every smart prep pantry. Rice and pasta. But not just any rice and pasta. Here's something that shocked me. The average American household only has about 7 days worth of shelf-stable carbs on hand. 7 days. According to a recent report from the USDA, most families would face serious calorie deficits within a week if grocery stores closed. Costco sells massive 25-pound bags of jasmine rice for around $18. Do the math with me. That's 72 cents per pound. At my local grocery store, I'm paying $2.50 per pound for the exact same quality. You're literally saving almost 70%. But here's where most people screw up. They buy the rice, toss it in the pantry, and forget about it. Wrong move. Rice in those flimsy bags is an open invitation for bugs, moisture, and oxidation. I learned this the hard way 2 years ago when I discovered weevils in a 20-pound bag I'd stored in my garage. I wanted to cry. That's $15 down the drain and a disgusting cleanup job. Pro tip from a survival expert I met at a Prepper Expo last year. Transfer your bulk rice immediately into food-grade 5-gallon buckets with Gamma Seal lids. Add an oxygen absorber packet, and that rice will last 25-30 years. Not a typo, 30 years. You can grab these buckets at Home Depot for about $6 each, and oxygen absorbers run about $15 for a 50-pack on Amazon. Small investment for decades of food security. Now, pasta is a different beast. Costco's bulk pasta is already pretty well packaged, but I still transfer mine into airtight containers. The Kirkland penne and spaghetti come in 6-pound boxes for around $8. That's 400 servings of carbs for less than $10. Here's something most people don't consider. Pasta cooks faster than rice, which means you're using less fuel and water. During our 3-day power outage last winter, I was cooking pasta on our camping stove in about 8 minutes. My neighbor was struggling with rice that took 25 minutes and used way more propane. A family of 4 needs roughly 50 pounds of combined rice and pasta for a 30-day emergency supply. Sounds like a lot, but at Costco prices, you're looking at about 60 total. That's less than 2 weeks of regular groceries for most families. And listen, these aren't just emergency foods. We rotate through our supply constantly. I cook with our stored rice and pasta every week, then replace it on our next Costco run. Nothing goes to waste, and we always have a fresh supply ready. Last thing, and this is critical, keep your grains in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. Heat and moisture are the enemy. I keep mine in our basement where temperatures stay consistent year-round. Item 4. Kirkland peanut butter. Let's talk about one of the most underrated prep items that literally saved my family during our last evacuation. Peanut butter. I know what you're thinking. Peanut butter? Really? But hear me out. This stuff is calorie-dense, protein-packed, requires 0 cooking, and kids actually like it. You can't say that about most emergency foods. Costco sells these massive 2-packs of Kirkland organic peanut butter. Each jar is 28 ounces, and you're getting both jars for around $10. Compare that to your grocery store, where a single jar of organic peanut butter runs $8 or more. Here's what most people don't know. Peanut butter contains about 190 calories per 2 tablespoons. During an emergency, when you're burning extra energy from stress and physical activity, those calories become crucial. A single jar can provide over 6,000 calories. That's enough to sustain an adult for 2 to 3 days if necessary. My friend who's a registered dietitian mentioned something fascinating. Peanut butter has a near-perfect ratio of protein, fat, and carbs for sustained energy. It's basically nature's energy bar, and it costs a fraction of those fancy emergency food bars. During Hurricane Ian evacuations last year, my cousin in Florida said peanut butter and crackers kept her family fed for 4 days while they waited in a shelter. The Red Cross volunteers were handing out sandwiches, but they ran out within hours. Her family didn't panic because they'd brought their own supplies. Now, here's a pro tip about storage. The natural peanut butter at Costco does separate, which freaks people out. Don't worry, just stir it when you first open it and store it upside down. The oils redistribute better that way. Once opened, it'll last 3 to 4 months at room temperature and up to a year in the fridge. But here's the real kicker. Unopened peanut butter can last up to 2 years past its printed date if stored properly. I've personally eaten peanut butter that was 18 months past its best buy date, and it tasted completely normal. I keep about 6 jars on hand at all times for my family of 4. That gives us roughly a 2-month supply if we needed to rely on it. Mix it with oatmeal, spread it on crackers, eat it straight from the jar with a spoon. It's versatile, filling, and honestly comforting during stressful times. And listen, peanut butter isn't just for emergencies. We go through a jar every 2 weeks normally, so I'm constantly rotating my supply. Grab a couple jars every Costco trip, and you'll always have a backup that actually gets used. Item 5. Water, bottled and 5-gallon jugs. All right, we need to have a serious conversation about water. This is literally life or death, and most people are dangerously unprepared. Here's a stat that should terrify you. According to FEMA's latest survey from January 2025, 68% of American households don't have even a 3-day supply of emergency water. That's insane. You can survive weeks without food, but only 3 to 4 days without water. During the Flint water crisis, my buddy's family in Michigan went through their entire water supply in less than 48 hours. They weren't even being wasteful. Drinking, cooking, basic hygiene, brushing teeth. Water disappears faster than you think. Costco makes water storage stupid simple. They sell 40 packs of Kirkland water bottles for around $4. Do the math. That's 10 cents per bottle. Your gas station is charging you $2 for the same thing. But here's where it gets interesting. Bottled water has an expiration date, usually about 2 years out. That doesn't mean the water goes bad. The plastic starts breaking down and can leach chemicals into the water. I made this mistake 3 years ago when I cracked open a case I'd stored in my garage, and it tasted like I was drinking plastic soup. Pro tip: store your bottled water in a cool, dark place, not your garage, not your attic. Somewhere temperature controlled. Under beds, in closets, in a basement. Heat accelerates the plastic breakdown. Now, for serious preppers, Costco also sells 5-gallon water jugs. These are game changers. At around $7 per jug, plus a one-time $7 deposit, you're getting 5 gallons of purified water that you can refill for just $1.50. I have 4 of these in my basement right now. The standard rule is 1 gallon per person per day. That's for drinking and basic hygiene. So a family of 4 needs at least 12 gallons for a 3-day minimum supply. Honestly, I keep a 2-week supply because I've seen how fast things can go sideways. Here's something most people overlook. Water isn't just for drinking. During a power outage, your toilet won't flush without water pressure. You'll need water to wash dishes, clean wounds, cook food, and maintain basic sanitation. My neighbor learned this the hard way during our ice storm last year. They had plenty of drinking water, but they hadn't thought about flushing toilets. By day 3, their house was, well, let's just say it wasn't pleasant. I actually keep a detailed log of how much water my family uses in a normal day. We tracked it for a week last month, and we averaged 1.8 gallons per person daily just for essentials. That's drinking, coffee, cooking, and minimal hygiene, not even including showers or laundry. Last thing, and this is critical, don't forget about water purification. I keep a Life Straw pitcher and a box of purification tablets as backups. If my stored water runs out, I can purify tap water or even water from our pool in a pinch. Costco occasionally has sales on water storage. I grabbed 6 40-packs during their last sale and saved almost $15. Small savings add up, and honestly, you can never have too much water stored. Item 6. ReadyWise Emergency Food Bucket. Now we're getting into the heavy-duty prep items, And this one went absolutely viral last year. The ReadyWise 150 serving emergency food bucket at Costco. If you've seen the TikTok videos calling these apocalypse dinner kits, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me tell you something that hit way too close to home. My sister in Asheville, North Carolina, dealt with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene last September. Roads were washed out, power was gone for 13 days, and grocery stores were either flooded or completely emptied within hours. The emergency food bucket she'd grabbed from Costco 6 months earlier literally kept her family of 3 fed for almost 2 weeks. Here's what makes these buckets special and why they're trending everywhere right now. 25-year shelf life. Not a typo, 25 years. You buy this bucket today, it's still perfectly good in the year 2050. The freeze-dried technology is the same stuff NASA uses for astronauts on the International Space Station. Costco sells the ReadyWise 150 serving bucket for $79.99, and sometimes they drop it to $59.99 during sales. That breaks down to 53 cents per serving at regular price. Compare that to a single fast food meal at $10, and suddenly this looks like the smartest investment you'll ever make. Now, let me be brutally honest with you. This isn't gourmet food. I've personally tried the teriyaki rice, pasta alfredo, and the cheesy macaroni from my bucket. They're edible. Some are actually pretty decent when you're hungry. But you're not buying this for a Michelin star experience. You're buying it for survival. Here's what ABC News reported in July 2024 when these buckets went viral. A FEMA spokesperson, Jace Jenko, said they were happy to see more companies and people taking steps to prepare ahead of disasters. But he also warned that these meals require clean water and a heat source to prepare. Fair point. Each meal needs about 2 cups of boiling water and 12 to 15 minutes to rehydrate. What most people don't realize is how compact these buckets are. The bucket is about the size of a large paint can, maybe 12 inches tall and 10 inches in diameter. I have 2 stacked in my basement right now, and they take up less space than a case of bottled water. The bucket itself is watertight and reusable, which is a nice bonus. Here's something that surprised me when I opened mine. The meals are individually sealed in Mylar pouches inside the bucket. You're not opening the entire bucket and exposing everything to air. You pull out one pouch, reseal the bucket, and the rest stays fresh. Smart design. A recent Reddit thread on Our Preppers from February 2025 had over 2,000 comments debating these buckets. The consensus? They're best for long-term, set-it-and-forget-it storage, not your primary emergency food source. For short-term emergencies lasting 3 to 7 days, people preferred canned goods and shelf-stable items that don't require cooking. But here's where these buckets shine. Catastrophic scenarios, extended power outages, natural disasters that shut down supply chains for weeks. My buddy, who's a former Army Ranger, told me these freeze-dried meals are nearly identical to the MREs they ate in Afghanistan, just civilian versions. The bucket I have contains a mix of breakfasts, entrees, and drinks. Oatmeal packets, scrambled eggs, potato soup, pasta dishes, and even some fruit drink mixes. The variety is actually pretty solid for emergency food. You're not eating the same thing every day, which matters more than you'd think when you're stressed. Here's a pro tip that nobody talks about. Don't just buy this bucket and shove it in your basement untouched. Open it up. Read the instructions. Maybe even prepare 1 or 2 meals just to familiarize yourself with the process. During an actual emergency, the last thing you want is to be figuring out instructions by flashlight while your kids are crying about being hungry. I actually did a taste test with my family last summer. We prepared the chicken noodle soup and the mac and cheese. My kids rated them 6 out of 10, which honestly isn't bad considering they're picky eaters who complain about my regular cooking. My wife said the texture was a bit mushy, but the flavor was surprisingly decent. Here's something trending right now that should concern you. Multiple prepper YouTube channels have reported that ReadyWise buckets have been showing limited stock warnings on Costco's website since January 2025. A manager at my local Costco told me off the record that they're selling 3 to 4 times more emergency food supplies this year compared to last year. People are waking up. Costco also sells larger options if you're really serious. The ReadyWise 5,400 serving pallet for $2,999 after a $500 discount. That's 36 buckets stacked on a pallet. Sounds insane, but if you're prepping for a large family or a community, the per-serving cost drops dramatically. Storage is simple. Keep the bucket sealed in a cool, dry place. Basements are perfect. Garages work if temperature controlled. Avoid attics where heat builds up. The bucket itself is designed to be rodent-proof and waterproof, so you don't need fancy storage solutions. Last thing, set up price alerts for these buckets on Costco's website. They go on sale randomly, and you can save $20 or $30 when they do. I grabbed mine during a flash sale last October for $59.99 and got free shipping. Best $60 I've ever spent for peace of mind. Look, I'm not trying to scare you, but after watching what happened in Maui, North Carolina, and Texas over the past few years, I sleep better knowing I have backup food that'll last decades if needed. For less than the cost of 2 dinners out, you've got 150 meals sitting ready. Item 7. Toilet paper and paper towels. All right, last item. And yes, I'm going there. Toilet paper and paper towels. Go ahead and laugh, but let me ask you something. Do you remember March 2020, those empty shelves? People fighting in store aisles? Yeah, that wasn't funny when you actually needed toilet paper and couldn't find it anywhere. Here's something that still blows my mind. During the early pandemic, toilet paper was being sold on Facebook Marketplace and eBay for $40 to $50 per pack. $50 for something you wipe your butt with. People were legitimately desperate, and price gougers took full advantage. My neighbor admitted she paid $35 for a 12-pack from a guy selling it out of his trunk. Insane. Costco's Kirkland Signature toilet paper is legendary for a reason, and I'm not exaggerating. The 30-roll mega pack costs around $24.99, and it lasts my family of 4 about 8 to 10 weeks. Compare that to your local grocery store where you're paying $16 or $18 for a 12-pack that disappears in 3 weeks. The value isn't even close, but here's what makes Kirkland TP special beyond just price. Consumer Reports did testing in January 2025 and ranked Kirkland toilet paper in their top 5 for softness and strength. It's a 2-ply that doesn't fall apart when wet, doesn't leave lint, and honestly feels more premium than brands charging double. I've tried the cheap store brands during lean times, and trust me, it's not worth the savings. When you're dealing with an emergency situation, the last thing you need is sandpaper quality toilet paper, making everything worse. Here's something the Wall Street Journal reported in November 2024 that should concern you. Toilet paper manufacturers are still dealing with supply chain vulnerabilities. One major mill fire or transportation strike, and we're right back to 2020-style shortages. The paper industry operates on thin margins with minimal stockpiles. My buddy who works in logistics for a major retailer told me something off the record last month. They're already seeing early warning signs of another potential toilet paper crunch. Nothing public yet, but ordering limits are being quietly discussed at corporate levels. When retailers start preparing for limits, that's your signal to stock up before the general public panics. Paper towels are equally critical and equally overlooked. The Kirkland 12-roll paper towel pack runs about $21.99 and lasts us 6 to 8 weeks depending on usage. During our 5-day power outage last winter, we used paper towels for everything. Cleaning up spills, drying hands, improvising napkins, wiping down surfaces, even as makeshift coffee filters when we were using our camping stove. Here's a real-life example that opened my eyes. My cousin in Buffalo during the Christmas blizzard of 2022 was trapped in her house for 9 days. She ran out of paper towels by day 4 and had to start using dish towels for everything. By day 7, she was rationing toilet paper and genuinely worried about running out. She told me later that toilet paper anxiety was worse than food anxiety because at least you can go hungry for a day. You can't just skip bathroom needs. A fascinating report from NPR in August 2024 analyzed panic buying patterns. Toilet paper consistently ranks as the #1 panic purchased item during emergencies, even above food and water. Psychologically, people feel vulnerable without it because there's no easy substitute. You can survive on crackers and peanut butter. You can't easily improvise toilet paper. Here's a pro tip that saved my wallet and storage space. Split a Costco toilet paper and paper towel pack with a friend or neighbor if storage is tight. Half a pack of Kirkland TP is still 15 rolls, which gives you a solid 4 to 5 week backup supply for a family of 4. You're both getting incredible value and preparing smart without needing a warehouse-sized closet. Storage is simple. Keep them in a dry place away from moisture. I store mine in a spare upstairs closet where they stay perfectly dry. Unlike food that expires, paper products can sit for literally years without degrading. I've used toilet paper that sat in storage for 3 years, and it was completely fine. And listen, here's why these items are actually brilliant prep purchases. Unlike the emergency food bucket that sits untouched for years, you're using toilet paper and paper towels every single day. This isn't hypothetical prepping. You're buying something you'll 100% use regardless of whether an emergency happens. It's just smart bulk buying that doubles as emergency preparedness. Here's something that happened at my local Costco 2 weeks ago that was a wake-up call. I noticed small signs posted near the toilet paper section. Limit 2 per membership. When I asked an employee about it, she said they'd implemented limits proactively because they're seeing increased demand and don't want to repeat 2020. If Costco is already limiting quantities in early 2025, what does that tell you about what they're anticipating? A TikTok video went viral last month showing a Costco in California completely sold out of toilet paper on a random Tuesday, over 4 million views. The comments were full of people saying their local Costcos were also experiencing sporadic shortages. This isn't widespread panic yet, but the cracks are showing. Last thing, and this is critical, don't wait for the news to report shortages before you stock up. By then, it's too late. You'll be fighting crowds and dealing with empty shelves. Grab an extra pack every time you're at Costco. Build up a 3-6 month supply gradually, and you'll never panic again. I keep about 60 rolls of toilet paper and 24 rolls of paper towels in rotation at all times. Sounds excessive until you realize that's only a 3-month supply for my family. We use it, replace it, and always maintain that buffer. Simple system, zero stress. This isn't glamorous prepping. Nobody's making exciting YouTube videos about stockpiling Charmin. But when supply chains get funky again, and they will, you'll be sitting pretty while everyone else is scrambling. Trust me on this one. All right, folks, let's wrap this up. 7 simple items: batteries, canned protein, rice and pasta, peanut butter, water, emergency food buckets, and yes, toilet paper. This isn't about paranoia. This is about being smart and prepared. Next time you're at Costco, throw a couple of these items in your cart. Build your supply gradually, and before you know it, you'll have a fully stocked emergency pantry. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to empower you. The difference between panic and peace of mind is preparation. If this video helped you, smash that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel because I'm dropping more prep guides and Costco hacks every single week. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 7 items you're grabbing first. The community here shares incredible tips, so read through those comments. Don't wait for the next disaster warning. Start today. Your future self will thank you when everyone else is panicking and you're sitting at home completely prepared. Stay safe, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next one.